Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Senex, and welcome to a very special game of StarCraft 2. And no, it's not just special for the incredible caliber of players involved. More on that in a moment. This game is special because it is my application to the IPL 5 caster competition. For those who do not know, right now the IPL is running a competition where pretty much anybody who is interested can send in replays of them casting one of 3 games provided in this awesome little replay pack. And those who are the most successful and they really like the way that they end up casting the games will have the opportunity to cast the IPL 5 qualifiers. And I just have to say, this is an incredible opportunity and a really just kind of generally awesome project for the IPL to be doing. It not only lets them kind of find untapped talent that's out there in the community, it also gives a lot of people the chance to get involved with the professional esports scene. And that's really just amazingly good for both sides. And so my total hats off to all of the fine folks at IPL for deciding to run this event, and I hope that it's very successful for them. They find the people that they're looking for, and obviously the right people are able to get involved with just kind of the overall StarCraft scene, really help make it successful. So as we can see, this is coLKiller, who is the blue Protoss player. He's spawning in the north of Metropolis, a new GSL map that is currently on the ladder, but not many people have had a huge amount of experience with it. He is going against LiquidTaeja, who is the red Terran in the south position. And obviously both of these players incredibly skilled. They're both GSL veterans, and just like, I cannot wait to see what they end up doing in order to defeat one another on this map. We can already see a little bit of difference in their kind of approach to the game. As we can see, Killer has already scouted his opponent. He has this one probe moving around, just kind of doing a little bit of harassment, while Taeja hasn't done any scouting whatsoever. He doesn't really care what his opponent is sending at him. He has his build, he knows exactly what he wants to get out of it, and it could be a cheese, it could be double proxy gates. Obviously it's actually not, but Taeja doesn't mind, and he doesn't really feel the need to go and check out what his opponent is doing. Ultimately, if he did, though, he would see that it's basically the most normal of the normal. Right now, Killer has his first gateway done, is mining off of just 1 gas, and has kind of popped down his cybernetics core, and is really moving into, in fact, both of these players, just kind of the most basic openers against each other's races. This is, however, not kind of the standard opener. A really cute move from Killer right there, dropping down a pylon just to make sure that this barracks is not able to drop an add-on. And even if it does, is he going to let this finish? It looks like Killer decides to let that finish. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that decision, because it means that he ends up losing 100 minerals rather than just 25. But it does provide him with some pretty good scouting information, because this barracks now basically has 2 options. If it lifts off and drops an add-on, like right here, this pylon will see it. And if it lifts off and goes and plants down like way over here, it's lost a whole lot of building time in order to make that hidden tech lab or reactor or whatever it ends up doing. However, just kind of looking at it right now, we can see that there's the 2nd gas on the way and a factory also on the way. And so that definitely suggests a little bit more tech-oriented play for Taeja, while his opponent Killer has really, like, he hasn't dropped the 2nd gas, and that's a distinct tell. It means he's almost certainly going for a 1 gate expand, and I'll definitely be looking as we see his money building up. For him to be going and dropping that Nexus really suited. Yeah, we can see the probe moving out right now, though, right back in Taeja's base. He can already building the starport, in fact, drops the tech lab down immediately. I definitely think this is going to be Banshee play. He's just going to swap out these 2 buildings to get that tech lab on the starport, and it's kind of up in the air if he's going to go for Cloak or not. With the 2 gas geysers, he definitely has the opportunity to, but it's also possible for him to drop a reactor on this barracks and a tech lab on this factory yet again, and immediately transition into a 1-1-1, which is an incredibly effective attack versus Protoss. This is a little bit of a risky map to do it on, though, just because it is a fairly long rush distance, and as we can see right here, Killer has control of both the center watchtowers. He has this one stalker kind of posturing around in the middle of the map, actually going to be taking a poke up in Taeja's base, but because of this little wall, and it does look like Taeja's going to, yes, he very easily forces that back. In fact, drops all of the supply depots, maybe giving chase, but no. Right now the stalker is going to be able to wander away. And also, Killer has control of this other watchtower with this other probe, so he can really make sure that he knows what his opponent is up to, though the Cloak Banshees are on the way. However, as we can see right here, as his expansion's continuing up, Killer has immediately dropped a robotics facility. Very smart play from him to make sure he covers all of his bases, and is probably going to be fairly safe against this Cloak Banshee play, and has given himself a pretty good economic advantage, because as we can see right here, Taeja's only just now taking taking his command center. And he does look to be wanting to kind of exert his influence on the map a little bit. Has a little strike force of Marines that are kind of poking around with this Stalker over. He does need to be kind of careful. That Stalker is pretty good about dealing with Marines in short order. And just taking a look around, this Banshee, oh, this Banshee is a kill. I think that probe got killed by that Banshee. Oh, that's really, really bad news for Taeja right there. Yeah, that Banshee was definitely spotted by that probe. Did get the free kill, but right now Killer is very, very prepared for this. Already has 3 Stalkers in position. Obviously going to be very comfortable getting rid of this Banshee. However, his Observer isn't out quite yet. Already a couple of kills with Banshee. 3 right now, though. The Observer has come out, and this Banshee needs to continue retreating. That Observer's in hot pursuit. There's a couple warpins, but it does look like with 4 kills, the Banshee's going to be able to pull away. And so some okay damage, but there's a big investment that you need to put forward in order to get not only Cloak, but the Banshee itself. And in fact, particularly since there's now a second Banshee on the field. So really just 4 kills, not going to be enough to make that worth it. So looks like Taeja's going to be wanting to continue the aggression. He might have a distinct opportunity to. There's a sentry right now that's under fire from both of these Banshees. One sentry immediately going down and might have a chance to take down a second one, but it does look like these 2 Banshees are going to be chased away. However, he is able to keep both of them alive. So very, very nice Cloak from Taeja right there, preserving his units and kind of getting the damage that he can without sacrificing anything. So some really nice play right there. He's not letting up on this Banshee production, though. Already a 3rd one, and this might be overcommitting a little bit to it. It definitely seems like Killer pretty much has the problem in hand. He knows that he's dealing with Cloak Banshee, and I'm not sure how much I like this continued addition of all of these Banshees. So, and yeah, we can see right here, very, very easily chased away. But taking a quick look at Taeja's base, he's already built a 3rd command center, right now morphing it into an orbital command, and does have a couple of siege tanks on the field and just started siege tech, and so this might be a kind of delayed 1-1-1. He has some Marines, not a huge number though, and that might really kind of deaden the effectiveness of the attack. Also, particularly since it's been completely scouted by this Observer, able to swoop right in, see everything that his opponent is working on. So if this is a 1-1-1, then Killer is going to be incredibly ready for it. And it does look like that was spotted by that Raven. Right now there's a little group of Marines moving to try to snipe it off, but a little bit of nice Observer micro able to kind of sneak the unit right out the back door. So Killer is going to be able to keep an eye on what his opponent is doing. And now, despite having a lot of tech units with 2 siege tanks, Ravens, several Banshees and stuff, I'm really not... This might not end up being a 1-1-1, just because, once again, there's so few Marines, and they're really the fundamental unit that makes the 1-1-1 work. And in fact, having scouted all of his opponent's army, Taeja feels comfortable taking his 3rd. And we can see right here, just dropped that down. So really pretty bold from him. I, in his position, would definitely be feeling a lot more nervous, but he still feels like he can handle it, and he might be punished for that decision. Right now, 4 Banshees with Cloak moving out across the field, and unless Killer is able to really split up his forces and deal with it, he might end up taking a lot of damage. He has moved into Colossus production and already has Thermal Lance on the way, along with 2 double upgrades going right now, both being chrono boosted. So I do think that kind of as the game goes on, he's going to be in a really nice position unless this harassment is able to go and deal a lot of damage. Right now, there's only a couple of Stalkers in position. This many Banshees can easily engage small groups of Stalkers and just kill them off. They don't even need to worry about it. Right now, he has chased all of the units off of mining this right now, though, and right now, there's just really nothing in place to deal with these. The Cloak happening, and there is an Observer here to make sure that all of these Stalkers can spot these units, but it doesn't look like Killer really feels up to engaging just a small force of Stalkers, though he is moving in for it right now. Why aren't the Banshees need to move? One of them immediately going down. Second one taking a lot of damage. Definitely a little bit of miscontrol from Taeja right there. Just a small blunder, but losing 1 out of 4 of your Banshees, particularly if you've invested so much in making sure that they have all of their upgrades and Cloak and all of the nice things like that, definitely a bit of an error right there. And looking back in Taeja's base, he's actually transitioned out of any kind of 1-1-1 style. Looking at the units tab real quick, he only has 2 siege tanks, so I have to wonder if this was almost an aborted 1-1-1. He kind of saw what his opponent was doing, didn't feel comfortable continuing it, and as we can see right here, it's transitioned into massive barracks production, has 3 more on the way, along with 5 already complete, so really tech switching hard. Also is double producing Vikings right now, so he did end up moving in, seeing that Colossus Colossus as he was attacking. Though, because he's only just now taking this base, I'm definitely starting to get a little bit worried about him in terms of just the general economy, particularly since I just saw it on the production tab. Where did it end up completing? There was a Templar Archive. Yes, there's the Templar Archives that just completed. So as Taeja ended up looking at his opponent's unit composition, kind of scouting around with observers like this one, he immediately threw down High Templar attack. That's going to be very, very valuable for him as the game goes on. Right now, there's a kind of bizarre move out. I don't quite know why this composition is exactly what it is. I mean, the Banshees are definitely a good decision, and I can understand the Raven, so maybe these Vikings are just for picking off observers, because we did see one observer get sniped right here. However, I'm just a little bit confused. I don't think he has enough to really deal with the ground forces that he's going to be running into right here. 6 Stalkers, definitely enough to deal with 3 Banshees, even if they do end up taking some losses. And right now there is an observer on the field, and we do see there is a point defense drone drop down, and that observer immediately taking a couple of hits. If he can snipe that off, and he does, a brilliant move from LiquidTaeja, immediately moving in and taking out his opponent's detection. There is a second observer being moved in from the natural, but not before some noticeable economic damage is dealt. Right now up to 11 workers killed by Taeja. All of these Banshees dealing some pretty good damage. There's a little bit of a push out across the middle of the map. He had a whole bunch of bioforces that went in to just kind of poke at his opponent, but there was a very, very nice army split from Killer right there. He only sent his Stalkers to defend against the air threat and had his Colossus and Zealots just ready to go in order to defend against any bio. He also has Storm just about to complete along with his 2-2 upgrades, so I do think that Taeja, despite having a pretty noticeable supply lead, is far behind enough in the tech. He's definitely going to need to be careful about any engagement that he goes into with his Protoss opponent. He does look like he really wants to kind of continue this aggression, though. He's constantly posturing around in the middle of the map, and in fact is doing a double drop load up right now and is sending in all of those air forces that he had already been messing around with a little bit in his opponent's base. And really, all of those Stalkers are no longer in position, and in fact that point defense drone is still there, so it might be able to soak up some shots. It was a big warp in of Zealots though, and several Colossus on the field. However, he might end up losing some of those, one of them taking huge damage, however, because a really nice feedback immediately killing off the Raven. And yeah, the warp in was just too much, and despite getting some pretty good hull damage on that Colossus, pretty costly engagement for Taeja right there. And we can actually see it gave him the opportunity to even up the supply quite a bit, as did sending a siege tank, maybe both. Taking a look at the unit, yeah, it looks like that was actually both siege tanks committed to I'm going to be charitable and say that he was sending them off to harass this Nexus. Yes, that's totally what he was doing, but it does look like that was Killer's kind of cue to move out. He is engaging right in the middle of the map. I'm not sure I like this positioning for Killer, though. Right now, he's taking a lot of damage. However, there's just so many well-upgraded cells. One pretty nice Storm, but it deals damage to both sides. It does look like all of those High Templar are continuing to move in. A second Storm that's actually a really, really unfortunate move, dealing so much damage to all of these Zealots. And while these Bioforces are slowly being whittled down, it's definitely not looking like Killer can continue this fight. He's lost almost all of his Colossus. This one looking like it's definitely going to fall as a second set of middle. Oh, it has like 1 hit point, 3 in fact, and it ends up being taken down. Also, any unit which is slower than the stemmed bio forces immediately being caught by the concussive shells. So really, as we can see on the supply tab, Killer going down from about 145 to 118. So kind of the retreat of that was very, very damaging for him as time went on. However, he has secured his 4th base considerably before his opponent. As we can see right here, Taeja is floating over his own 4th, and so the macro advantage that Killer has been enjoying might end up helping him carry the day, but he does really need to be careful about continuing to engage these bio forces. While he does have his 3-3 on the way, the 3-2 is on the way for Taeja. So while Protoss forces Killer do have macro or a economic or upgrade advantage, I should say. However, I'll be back on that in a moment. Right now, a huge cancel being forced as this double drop runs and snipes off that pylon, trying to do some damage to that 4th base. However, it does look like they're going to, in fact, it was a triple drop, going to need to run away. However, a shot takes down 1 full medevac. A couple more shots might end up taking down someone. A huge blink forward, and yes, a brilliant defense from Killer, really, really punishing this triple drop aggression that was going against this base. So evening up the supply quite a bit. In fact, now both players even. In fact, Killer taking a very small lead. So very, very nice defense, really punishing his opponent for trying to do that. And as I was saying, with the upgrades, right, there's going to be a small window where the upgrades will be noticeably ahead for the Protoss forces, and it looks like Killer might be trying to hit that kind of timing window as he gets his 3-3, and his opponent's 3-3 is still several minutes away, moving out across the middle of the map. This might be a very, very good timing from the Protoss player if he has the Storms ready to deal with his opponent. However, the Ghosts have hit the field, and right now all of these High Templar are in a kind of risky position. They're very forward, so unless he is able to either feedback or just dodge the EMPs from these Ghosts, he might be in a very risky position. One total whiff of a Storm, very unfortunate, wasting some energy. And this looks like a very small army. Where is, just looking at the army supply tab, yeah, Taeja's army is 20 supply ahead, so it does look like Killer's in a potentially kind of risky situation. He is, it looks like, harassing this base, has several zealots running around right there. This has to have come from a warp prism. I believe I saw one of those. I mean, yes, there is a warp prism flitting around somewhere, and I will find it in a moment. In fact, it looks like, yes, there we go. There's the warp prism moving around. In fact, it's been loaded up with 4 High Templar, so that could be an incredibly damaging drop if Killer is able to get it in a good position. However, 4 High Templar is an enormous investment. That means that there's far less AoE available in his main army, and if he ends up engaging this force, not having that available could be incredibly dangerous for him. Nice scan immediately reveals everything which is currently comprising Killer's army, and does look like Taeja feels as though he's confident in dealing with that force. There's a lot of Ghost 6 already on the field, all very high energy, and right now I'm just kind of waiting for this Warp Prism to do something. Also, the speed has been researched, so pretty nice thing right there. You might be able to drop some pretty good storms here, but I don't know, I'm not quite convinced of this. While he is able to kill a bunch of mules, it's not permanent damage. It's not like he actually killed off SCVs. He just denied kind of potential mining. And not having those forces available could be incredibly dangerous. It looks like he is moving them in. Don't continue moving them. Please don't move them in a straight line over this force. Oh god, what are you doing, Killer? There is a bit of an engagement moving on right through the middle. Is this Warp Prism going to go down? Doesn't look like it. That was incredibly risky, particularly with all of these Vikings in the air. However, right now, this attack force for Taeja is just incredibly dangerous, doing absolute work, as we can see Killer's supply just plummeting over his opponents, down to just 110 against 157, and it does not look like Taeja is going to give Killer time to recover. If you just look at the units tab, there is currently 1 Zealot on the field for Killer, so I'm really worried this is going to end up being... Oh, he is morphing in 10 High Templars, though. However, as we see, 5 Ghosts currently on the way, so I do think that Killer will probably have... Well, I'm sorry, Taeja will probably have what he needs to deal with any kind of psionic threat. And yeah, right now, all of this production going down from Killer, all these forces are massing, so Killer might be willing to make a stand, but no, unfortunately, he does have to GG. So, thank you everybody for watching. This was a very, very fun game to cast, and I'm really, really happy that the IPL decided to include it in their kind of the replay pack that you got to choose from while you're doing this competition. I love both these players, particularly the recently acquired LiquidTaeja, and so it was just a blast to have the opportunity to cast it. And for those of you who are interested in the competition yourself, the deadline is actually... today, in just a couple of hours. I'm totally only able to get this in at the last minute, but if you end up watching this before then, be sure to send in your own application if you are a caster, or let your casting friends know that the IPL is looking for the talented, the best, and the brightest, and you might have the opportunity yourself to get involved in casting the IPL 5. So thank you everybody for watching, and be sure to thank the IPL for running this kind of event. It's really, really awesome for folks like myself who are interested in StarCraft casting and stuff. And so this is Senex signing out, and I will see you all later.